Right now on Morning News Now, celebrations and cheers to kick off the new year. People all over the world marking the start of 2026 with fireworks and festivities. In New York's famed Times Square, thousands of people braving freezing temperatures to watch the ball drop at midnight. We will show you the celebrations. Breaking news this morning, a holiday tragedy overseas. Dozens of people presumed dead after a massive fire at a Swiss ski resort. What we're learning from authorities. Also, history at midnight as Zohran Mamdani is sworn in as New York City's new mayor. Plus, the new year means new laws. We'll look at some of the legislation in effect starting today and how it could impact you. And getting fit in 2026. We'll get some expert advice on how to make your New Year's fitness resolutions a reality. Good morning and Happy New Year. Thanks for starting 2026 with us bright and early. I'm Jessica Layton, in for Joe and Savannah. We begin this hour with a look at how the world rang in the first day of 2026. One of the first cities to welcome in the new year was Auckland, New Zealand. The famous Sky Tower there lighting up with pyrotechnics to signal the start of the new year around the world. And then less than 2 hours later, an impressive display in Sydney, Australia. Fireworks lighting up the famous Opera House in Sydney Harbour. In Dubai, drones in the sky, lighting up a countdown to the new year with this breathtaking display on the city's iconic skyscraper, along with impressive fireworks and a water show. And across the pond in London, 100,000 people braved the freezing temperatures and gathered along the River Thames to hear Big Ben strike midnight, starting a light show right above the London Eye. And here in New York, nearly 1 million people from all over the world packed into Times Square to ring in the new year and watch the ball drop. This year, revelers were treated to a second celebration just 4 minutes after midnight. And it wasn't just fireworks last night. Zohran Mamdani is officially the new mayor of New York City. New York Attorney General Letitia James swore in Mamdani at the Old City Hall subway station. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda is in Times Square with a look at those celebrations and more. Emily, good morning.
Hey there, we'll talk about a snowy start to 2026. It was just a few hours ago that Times Square was packed with some 1 million revelers and thousands of pounds of confetti to ring in 2026. The snow complicating some of those cleanup efforts that you can see underway just behind me. So many families have braved the frigid temperatures to watch the ball drop at midnight before a massive crowd and music and fun. So many people looking up to watch that brand new 12,000-pound constellation ball, which had a fun second act. Just minutes later, it lit up in red, white, and blue in honor of America's 250th birthday. The celebrations had continued across the country and around the world. In Seattle, fireworks lit up the sky around the Space Needle through a foggy night. Australia was one of the first to celebrate the new year with fireworks lighting up the sky near its famed Sydney Harbour. In Egypt, it was the Giza pyramids that were the focal point, with more fireworks there. And in Paris, revelers looking up in awe at the Arc de Triomphe. Now, those celebrations will continue today with the Rose Parade in Pasadena, which is expected to see its first downpour in something like 20 years, still persisting nonetheless. Hey, I mean, flowers, they like a little precipitation, right? Happy New Year. Back to you.
Thanks, Emily. Ikeda, thanks so much. We've got some breaking news to bring you out of Europe this morning. Dozens of people are presumed dead after a fire ripped through a crowded bar in Switzerland. It happened overnight during a New Year's celebration at a luxury ski resort. The cause of the fire still needs to be determined, but police say they have ruled out an attack. NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamdjian has the very latest.
Well, this is still very much a developing story, and we are learning more by the hour. What happened exactly in this popular bar in the southwestern Swiss city of Caen-Montana, a popular bar called Le Constellation. Authorities are saying dozens are feared dead, though we don't yet have an official number. 100 or so are injured, and the vast majority, officials say, have suffered serious injuries. Now, the cause of the fire is still unknown, though for now, authorities do not believe this was a case of arson. They say this was an accident. Whether pyrotechnics had anything to do with it is still unclear. It is a popular bar amongst young people who would have come here to watch sporting events, despite this being in an upscale ski resort. And it is a confined space, so you can just imagine what the scene would have been like as the fire broke out and people would have been trying to escape. There is going to be an extensive identification process given the severity of the injuries. There would have been lots of tourists, of course. Just on the other side of the nearest borders, you've got France and Italy. Lots of people, of course, on their Christmas holidays. There were so many injured that local hospitals were overwhelmed. Many had to be taken to other hospitals across the country in Lausanne, Zurich, Geneva. At the scene right now are forensic investigators who are trying to piece together the events of last night that led to this tragedy as people were ringing in the new year.
Danielle, thank you. Let's get a check on the forecast for the rest of the week now with your Morning News Now weather. Meteorologist Stephanie Olmo joins us now. Stephanie, good morning and Happy New Year.
All right, guys, good morning and Happy New Year. We're starting up the new year with more lake effect snow that is impacting the upper Midwest and the Northeast. We have some pretty intense snow bands that are setting up across the area here, especially in upstate New York. So the cold winds will continue. Temperatures will continue to plummet as we go over some of the snow bands and just how much snow we'll likely get. This will continue into tomorrow with some scattered snow showers continuing up into New England. So let's talk more about snow and which areas will see the highest total. So it's looking like just north of Syracuse, you could pick up about 1 to 2 feet of snow, locally higher amounts through the weekend. Just south of there, you see right around Bradford, you could pick up about 3 to 6 inches of snow around your way. Meanwhile, out in the west, we're tracking yet again more rain. We have another storm moving in early this morning. This is pretty much bringing soggy conditions around the Los Angeles area. I know we have the Rose Parade later on this morning, so it's going to put a damper to that. But by this afternoon, we'll start to see some scattered activity across the region here. And eventually, we'll start to see some breaks even as we head into Friday. But around Northern California, around the Great Basin, we're still looking at some moisture out your way with snow up in the Sierra. So what are we talking about in terms of rainfall totals across California? So it's looking like a lot of areas, especially around inland spots, around the valleys, we could pick up about 1 to 3 inches of rain. We could see locally higher amounts of especially in the foothills and mountains. And we're not done yet because we head into the weekend. I'm talking about more storms, more back-to-back storms impacting the region, unfortunately. Meanwhile, all right, let's talk about the temperatures. I know it's pretty chilly up in the upper Midwest and the Northeast. You notice quite the contrast. Temperatures at 33 in Charleston, later on in the afternoon, 21 in Chicago. Meanwhile, out ahead of it, we're talking about warm temperatures in the 70s in places like Houston. All right, back to you.
There are new developments this morning in the Epstein files investigation. A source tells NBC News there are now more than 5 million documents for the Justice Department to review, and that is way more than we previously knew. This comes as a new report is shedding light on an incident where President Trump kicked Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago. NBC's Gabe Gutierrez has the latest.
The Deputy Attorney General says DOJ lawyers are working around the clock, even on New Year's, to review the Epstein files before they're released. The Justice Department is scrambling to review roughly 5.2 million documents related to convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, according to a source familiar with the operation. That's a number much higher than previously known. Two sources familiar with the plan tell NBC News the DOJ is trying to enlist about 400 employees for the effort, which is expected to run until January 20th. That's a month after the deadline set by a bipartisan law Congress passed to release all Epstein files. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche posting required redactions to protect victims take time, but they will not stop these materials from being released. The DOJ has already publicly released tens of thousands of documents. President Trump, who's never been accused of wrongdoing related to Epstein, has long said he cut off contact with his one-time friend in the early 2000s.
He stole people that worked for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again, and I threw him out of the place. persona non grata.
Now, the Wall Street Journal, citing former Mar-a-Lago and Epstein employees, is reporting on an incident it says led Trump to ban Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago spa. According to the Journal, in 2003, an 18-year-old beautician returned to the club from a house call to Epstein and reported to managers that he had pressured her for sex. When a manager sent a fax to Trump relaying the allegations, the Journal writes, Trump told the manager it was a good letter and said to kick him out. Police and former employees told the Journal the incident was not reported to Palm Beach police. The White House calling the reporting fallacies and innuendo, adding no matter how many times this story is told and retold, the truth remains. President Trump did nothing wrong, and he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep. Last week, the Senate's top Democrat, Chuck Schumer, introduced a resolution that would direct the Senate to initiate legal action against the DOJ for not releasing the full Epstein files by the deadline. Congress is set to be back in session next week.
Gabe Gutierrez, thank you. Well, now that we're starting a new chapter in 2026, there are a number of laws that kick in with the new year that you'll want to keep an eye on. Starting today, state laws will take effect around the country on several issues, from the use of AI to paid family and medical leave. Let's dive right into all of it with NBC News correspondent Marquise Francis. Marquise, good morning and Happy New Year. Great to have you. Let's chat about the new laws with artificial intelligence. 38 states passed legislation last year to deal with the rise of AI. The states are attempting to tackle issues like the use of deep fakes in elections, for example. So what are the states doing, and how tough will it be for them to get their arms around this?
Yeah, Jess, right now we know that AI is kind of the wild, wild west across industries because there is no federal regulations around it. And so states are doing what they can to really rein it in. For instance, in California, they passed legislation that now prevents both AI developers and businesses from actually giving the impression that they're giving people medical advice when they're chatting with these chat boxes. In Montana and South Dakota, they now require disclosure when using deepfakes in elections. Of course, all of this is really to help people make more informed decisions, but it also comes at a time when President Trump just last year signed an executive order that makes it harder for these states to kind of put together these piecemeal legislation in lieu of federal regulations, but Congress has been unable to come together, and so that's why states are stepping up. Let's talk about voting now. There were 37 bills passed across 20 states to restrict voting access in elections last year. That's according to the Voting Rights Lab, a nonprofit that tracks voting-related legislation. So with the midterms on the schedule this year, how might that affect the way that the elections are carried out? Jess, a big, big year. Both Kansas and North Dakota passed legislation that actually removes the grace period for mail-in ballots postmarked by Election Day. Previously, as long as your ballot was postmarked by Election Day, it could still count. And then you also have 8 states that are making it harder to vote. They're actually restricting or eliminating alternatives to photo ID for the proof of registration. And of course, while these numbers may not be eye-popping when it comes to the specific numbers of the people that this is affecting, when it comes to some of these closer races in some of these tighter areas and districts, this could have a big, big impact. Also want to talk about the new laws in paid family and medical leave. Huge topic for the last couple of years, actually. Maine, Delaware, and Minnesota will be the latest states to provide those benefits in 2026. How will these new policies be different from the federal laws that are already in place? And are states doing anything to help with the Obamacare premiums that we are seeing expire as of last night? Right. 2 huge topics, right? So when it comes to paid family or medical leave, these new policies actually give people some relief. Right now, federal regulations allow people to have 12 weeks unpaid off. These new policies give them some paid time off, and it actually helps, obviously, people who need it when they're just having a child or they need that medical. I do want to note the U.S. is the only developed country that does not have a federal mandate when it comes to paid family time off or something happens to you, you get hurt. When it comes to those Obamacare subsidies, we know because they expired, healthcare is going up for all of the country. In some cases, it's going to be double or triple. And there are states trying to step up. For instance, Colorado, they injected $100 million to try to soften the blow, but it's not covering it all. And of course, that's going to be a big, big deal when it comes to 2026 midterms. People care about where their money is going in healthcare, rising costs. It's a big deal, Jess. Every single mother knows all about that all too well. Marquise Francis, great to have you. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Thanks so much.
For many of us, a new year means trying to make a fresh start. And what better way to kickstart 2026 than with a new resolution, right? Maybe you want to get in better shape, improve your relationships, or go after that promotion. Reporter Andrew Rowan from our NBC affiliate in Hartford, Connecticut, asked people about their plans for the new year and talked to an expert about how to make those resolutions stick.
31%. That's how many Americans are going to make a 2026 New Year's resolution. So we asked people, tell NBC, what are your resolutions?
I think that's good. And by the way, this is more than a fun TV story. This doctor says it actually helps to share it with people.
Having someone to help hold you accountable and not keeping it a secret is helpful.
My New Year's resolution is to finish publishing my book.
Take more time for myself.
To get better at playing my cello.
Drink more water, eat more vegetables.
Run more.
Definitely get back in the gym. That is the most popular one, with 25% of Americans resolving to exercise more.
My New Year's resolution is to not get in any fights with my friends.
Be present and put down our phones.
To be more present with my family.
To be better than I was last year.
Eat less, exercise more, and try not to forget my resolution by the end of January.
Was that last year's?
This is every year.
For those recurring resolutions, Quinnipiac's Dr. Tracy Marquise Edeman says,
my recommendation to patients is always to think of things in baby steps. Any kind of movement is a great resolution.
Go to the pool every day.
To journal every day for 30 minutes in the morning.
To become a big actress.
Some advice for these loftier resolutions. Think about a trend.
That was not my best day, but tomorrow's a new day, and I'm gonna try this again.
Hey, how about you? Some of us are still thinking, while others are set.
Reading books.
Health and high family, and I'm about to be a grandmother. Yay!
I'm gonna turn 3.
As everyone puts their best foot forward in 2026.
Happy New Year!
Some great ideas there. Thanks to Andrew Rowan for that report. Much more to come here on this New Year's edition of Morning News Now. Later this hour, financial forecast. From mass layoffs to interest rate cuts, 2025 was a roller coaster for the American economy. We will check the receipts to see how last year could impact everything from Wall Street to your wallet. But up first, right after the break, we'll look back at an eventful year in politics as we look ahead to a consequential midterm election. Stay with us. We're back with a political review of 2025 and a look ahead to 2026. Now, last year kicked off with President Trump beginning his second term in office by drastically slashing thousands of federal government jobs. 2025 also marked by the president launching a global trade war while the government endured its longest shutdown in history. And as the year wrapped up, Mr. Trump was dealing with slumping approval ratings and the fallout over the release of the Epstein files. NBC News senior national politics reporter John Allen joins us now to discuss all of this. John, good to have you with us this morning. So I have to ask, which political moments have stood out to you over the past year, and just how significant and eventful was President Trump's return to office?
Yeah, how many years do we have to discuss the all the things that happened in the first year? As far as eventful, I don't think we've seen anything like it in modern history. The number of events, the number of world events that the president either involved himself in or catalyzed, the number of domestic policies that he undertook using executive powers that, some of which he had, some of which the courts have said he didn't have, is pretty amazing. That said, as I look back at the year, you mentioned some of them, the DOGE cuts to government, the effort to really sort of kneecap the federal government is one that stands out. The one big beautiful bill, the president's tax cut, which did many other things, including beefing up the Homeland Security Department, which has been conducting ICE raids all across the country to try to detain and eventually deport maybe millions of people who've been living in the United States. The wars in Gaza that the president has helped at least temporarily stop, and in Ukraine, which he has not been able to find a solution for. All of these things stand out. And the other one political event I would say that stands out so greatly is the elections in November, just almost 2 months ago, where voters in Virginia and New Jersey and across the country where they had elections sent a strong message to the White House and to Republicans in Congress that they are not pleased with the direction that the president is going.
We also have the Epstein files, and we've seen over the past few weeks the DOJ release thousands of documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, and we know now that some included reference to President Trump. As we all know, the president has been trying to draw a line under this issue for a while, along with fellow Republicans. Do you think he'll be able to do that going into 2026?
Toward the end of December, I went to the Turning Point USA conference in Phoenix, and I talked to participants there, members of the MAGA base, some of the president's strongest supporters, and they are still up in arms over Jeffrey Epstein. They are still up in arms over what has not been released from those files, the questions that they still have. And the reason that this is going to continue for the president is that it's not his opponents, it's not Democrats who are pushing this by themselves. That wouldn't make much of a difference, but people from within his own party who are demanding to know why so many rich and powerful people were around a child sex trafficker for so long and, did not blow a whistle on the sex trafficker, and in some cases may have been, at least participating in some of his activities.
We also know that redistricting was a big issue for 2025. We saw 6 states, in fact, enact new congressional maps, but others remain unsettled. So where do you see the redistricting fight going, especially with the midterms coming up?
Yeah, it's going to continue right on into this year. Obviously, there are dates in each state where you can't really redistrict beyond the point of where you have filing deadlines and actual primary elections. But we could see redistricting in Florida. We could see it in Virginia. We could see it in a number of southern states, depending on what the Supreme Court does vis-a-vis the Voting Rights Act. So, if you liked what you saw with redistricting last year, you're going to love 2026.
But wait, there's more. And speaking of the midterms, John, what do you think is the Democrats' chance of getting to either flip the House or the Senate in the election?
I think it's too early to tell. Historically, the party that's out of power in the midterms of a president's first term, and while this is Trump's second term, there was a non-consecutive there. Historically, that means that the party out of power has a pretty good chance of picking up at least the House, if not the Senate. That said, when you look at the map, when you look at the actual districts, when you look at the races and where things stand, I think it's too early to make that projection. So let's check back in a little while, if that's okay, Jessica, and figure out where we are. I think either way, what you'll end up with is a pretty narrowly divided House, and the Republicans are more likely to hold the Senate. There are some scenarios where Democrats could take the Senate, but there would have to be a pretty extraordinary wave for that to happen.
So, John, we'll stay tuned for that. Happy New Year to you. Thanks so much.
Happy New Year.
On the economic front, although the U.S. managed to dodge a recession, it was still a turbulent 2025. The year was marked by trade wars, a slowing jobs market, and stubborn inflation. But recent economic data has been a bit encouraging. So has the U.S. economy turned a corner going into 2026? Joining us now is Caleb Silver. He's Investopedia's editor-in-chief and chief business editor at People Inc. Caleb, Happy New Year. Thanks for joining us. When we look at things like President Trump's trade war, how would you assess the economy's performance over the last year? Was it more resilient than we expected?
Absolutely. But I think we all have a lot of whiplash now, given all the policy changes. Don't forget, this administration came to power trying to turn the U.S. economy upside down, turn us into an exporter, a net exporter, and bring manufacturing back here. That was very dislocating, and it went through the guise of a tariff war that was actually more smoke than fire. That put a lot of companies on their heels, that put consumers on their heels, and consumer sentiment is at its worst level in years right now, yet the economy continues to chug along and we continue to spend.
Well, speaking of that, when we know the financial markets hit new highs in 2025, how surprising has that been given the AI bubble?
Yeah, well, the AI bubble may have popped already in some places. When you look at some of the biggest stocks that drove this rally to record highs, multiple record highs throughout the year, a lot of those big stocks are down 10, 15, 20%. But the rest of the market has caught up. We're in year of a bull market. Bull markets usually last 4 or 5 years. And if you look at what's actually driving it, it's corporate profitability. And it's probably 10 to 15 of the biggest companies out there that are doing a lot of spending on building AI data centers and AI infrastructure. This capital expenditures is also driving economic growth. It's also driving the stock market to record highs. So not surprised, although a lot of people thought at some point, especially back in April, we were headed for a bear market.
For sure. That's all we were talking about at that point. The Fed cut interest rates 3 times in 2025. What will the central bank do this year?
It's going to be a fascinating year because we will have a new Fed chair by May. The president promised he would give us his nominee by the end of this year. We'll see if that comes to pass. But we'll have a Fed chair, and the direction of the Federal Reserve and interest rates is down and to the right, albeit slowly. And the thing to watch really closely is the labor market, which has been softening. You talked about records for the stock market. Well, a lot of that has happened without job gains, and that's not totally healthy when you look at it. Companies are shedding workers, over 1 million layoffs so far. We know about the government layoffs this year, so this uneasiness about the fact that the economy is growing, companies are growing their profits, but people are losing their jobs, and the unemployment rate ending the year at 4.6%. That's something to watch super closely in 2026.
As we say in the news, it seems like a mixed bag when it comes to finances. Overall, what are economists predicting for 2026? And with that in mind, what do Americans need to keep in mind, whether they want to buy a house, buy a car, get their bills paid?
Let's start with buying a house and interest rates, because as interest rates go lower, that will eventually reduce the percent we pay on 30-year mortgages and on new car loans and on credit card APRs. Rates are going down, which could make homes a little bit more affordable, maybe open up the housing market after 3 or 4 years. But you're going to earn less money in the bank as those interest rates come down. Those high-yield savings accounts that were yielding between 4 and 5%, those are going lower. So savers are going to have a harder time earning interest in their accounts. But the economy should continue to grow as long as we keep spending. The big bogey right there is the labor market. If that worsens, if we get into 5% plus unemployment, consumers will pull back on spending, and spending is 70% of gross domestic product. So we got to watch the labor market real closely in 2026.
And we will do that, and we will have you back on to talk about that. Caleb Silver, thanks so much. 2026 is setting up to be a year that could have huge ramifications for the rule of law and how the federal government functions. President Trump's first year in office and his time back at the helm of the executive branch brought a flurry of federal cases and legal challenges, many of which will be decided in this new year. NBC News legal analyst Misty Maris joins us now to break down some of the biggest cases we have coming up. Misty, good morning and Happy New Year.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
So in 2026, the Supreme Court is set to review Washington v. Trump, which of course deals with birthright citizenship. A federal court issued a preliminary injunction blocking the president's executive order that sought to limit birthright citizenship. So a date for the argument's not set, but what kind of case do you expect each side to make here?
So this is going to be of huge consequence, and it's going to change case law. If the Supreme Court rules in favor of the administration, we're talking about going back to 1898. That's the controlling case. And really, this case is about an executive order the Trump administration handed down, which says birthright citizenship will not be granted to the children of people who are here illegally or here temporarily. This is a major shift and a major change from hundreds and hundreds of years, which basically was automatic citizenship for those who were born on U.S. soil. So this is a huge consequence. It's a case where we're really going to be looking to the oral arguments, which will be scheduled soon, to see where the judges are pushing back and kind of read the tea leaves about which way this might go.
So it wasn't just this issue. President Trump sought to expand his presidential power time and time again. We saw this on so many different issues. And a lot of these efforts are now before the Supreme Court or will go before the Supreme Court. What other cases and decisions do you think will have the most impact this year?
There are so many that are going to be of tremendous impact. And one thing that we've seen throughout 2025 is the use of what's called the emergency docket or the shadow docket. And it's called the shadow docket because it's as mysterious as it sounds. And those cases were basically temporarily pausing actions by the administration or allowing them to go forward in what was an emergency basis. And the Trump administration was victorious in a lot of that. But now these cases are going to be decided on the merits. And that's a huge difference because that's going to be the law of the land. So we're looking at the case regarding tariffs. We saw the oral arguments on that. The court seemed highly skeptical. But what will that mean? Will the administration pursue a different legal path than the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which is the basis for seeking to impose these tariffs basically unilaterally by the president? That's a huge case. Also, the firing of the Federal Trade Commission, Rebecca Slaughter, we heard oral arguments on that. That's on the emergency docket. That's going to reshape the administrative state and these independent administrative agencies. So these are of a tremendous consequence in the coming year.
Huge case here in New York that captivated the attention of the country, Luigi Mangione. He is facing both state and federal charges in connection to the murder of CEO Brian Thompson of United Healthcare. How do you anticipate things will go here?
Well, this is wild because we just got over covering almost a 2-week evidentiary hearing, the type of hearing that would usually take a day to 2 days at most. And there was such tremendous interest in that. So that's going to largely shape the case. The judge has asked the parties to brief their positions on the evidentiary matters, whether certain evidence is going to come in. We're probably not going to get a decision on that until April. In the meantime, that's the state case. The federal case is being challenged by the defense. They're asking for the death penalty to be taken off the table. They're also challenging the legal theory behind those federal charges, which is different than the state. So, you know, if all things considered, we'll probably see the state case going first, maybe in the second half of 2026, earliest. And then the federal case, if the death penalty is on the table, that's significantly down the road because that will be a capital case. There's a lot more at play when you're talking about getting into the courtroom on that.
It doesn't matter when it will happen. All eyeballs will be on it when it does. And then finally, let's talk about the Epstein files. Seems like this will remain a headache for the DOJ in the new year.
Yes, there has been whiplash with the Epstein files, to say the least. And just, 2 days ago, there was another announcement from the DOJ that 1 million more documents have been identified that weren't identified before. So what are the goals? Potentially identify co-conspirators and bring charges that aren't barred by the statute of limitations. If I'm Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney, I'm saying 1 million new documents. Why didn't we have them before trial? She could maybe use that as an avenue to try and overturn her conviction, one she has not pursued. And then there's a general issue with this type of law transparency. And that's great. The public wants to know what happened with Epstein. But disclosing these documents that are usually kept behind closed doors for prosecutorial decisions, grand jury material, what impact will that have on cases moving forward and investigations, informants willingly speaking to the government to bring these cases? So this case has an impact just beyond Epstein and the questions surrounding him. It has an impact just overall in the criminal justice system.
We will all be busy in 2026.
Yes, we will be.
Misty, great to have you today. Thanks so much. Happy New Year. Coming up, new year, new goals. Millions of Americans kicking off 2026 by breaking a sweat. But if you've struggled to keep your workout resolutions in the past, you're certainly not alone. So we're talking to an expert on how you can make your fitness a top priority all year long. Stay with us. Morning News Now. We'll be right back. The start of the new year often means the start of new beginnings. So for those of us setting out to get in better shape, this one's for you. Regardless of where we are in our fitness journey, it's never too late to learn new ways to take better care of our bodies. I'm joined now by Chief Instructor at Barry's, Lindsay Clayton. Lindsay, Happy New Year. It is good to have you with us.
Happy New Year.
This is all people are talking about. This year, I want to get in better shape. So what are some of the ways that we can start putting better emphasis on our health? And I think that we don't want to start out too big, right?
That's right. This is a great time of year to just reevaluate what your relationship is with health and wellness, and then to create maybe some big and some small goals that are going to excite you and help get you ready for the new year. And then also thinking about what habits you want to start to create daily, weekly to get you there.
How can people break down the barriers that may have been preventing them from having success in years past? I mean, we know so many people who try and they get a week in and they're like, How can we set ourselves up for success?
Yes, this is so common. Like, you get a gym membership and then you get there and you're like, I don't know what to do, so you just don't go.
Yeah.
I think this is a good time to say what worked and what didn't. If going to the gym didn't work, why don't you try a class? For example, like Barry's, we have a professional that creates the class for you and that can show you the exercises, so it kind of takes the guesswork out of it. Same thing with like running. If you hate running on a treadmill, why not like join a run club? Just flip the way that you are doing things currently and try something new.
I had a friend who has never run, says, I want to do a marathon this year. Maybe we should slow down a little bit. What else can you tell us about the follow through, and what tips do you have to make sure we stay really motivated throughout the whole year?
Yes. Well, first of all, as a marathoner myself, I love having the goal of running a marathon. I think take the goal, put it high on the shelf, and then walk yourself back down the ladder and say, what's the first step? And the first step, what can I do tomorrow? What can I do next week? And that's like getting out for a run, building consistency, not saying I'm going to go run a marathon tomorrow.
Right.
I'm not ready to do it tomorrow, but tomorrow I'm going to get out and run for 30 minutes, and maybe the next day at 30, and maybe the next day 35.
So really setting small goals along the way, and then you feel good when you achieve the smaller goals.
Yeah, small goals, those are big wins, right? When you hit like a mileage or pick up a set of weights that you've never used before, like that should feel good and it should motivate you to keep going.
Finally, what are some of the most common misconceptions that you come across when you're educating clients about their health?
I think there are both sides of the spectrum. The first is that it's too late to start. It's like, I'm too old, I've never done this, and that is so not true. Start with what you have, where you are, and again, just daily habits are gonna get you to where you wanna be. And then on the flip side, too much, too fast, too soon, this like no days off mentality is so dangerous. Recovery is just as important as the workout itself. So really finding the balance is going to lead to a healthy lifestyle.
I read that the breaks, the days off, is actually when your body makes the changes. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's exactly right. Like, you're doing your workout, but the recovery day, that's where your body is actually taking all that you did and changing. That's where the change is happening. So recovery is absolutely so important.
Lindsay, this is great. So perfect for January 1st. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year. Thank
Happy
you for
New Year
having
to
me.
you as well. Coming up, it will be an exciting year in the world of sports, from the Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina to the World Cup here in the U.S. and everything in between. We get a sneak peek at some of the moments you won't want to miss. Don't drop the ball. Morning News will be right back. Sports fans have a lot to look forward to in 2026. Some of the world's biggest sporting events will take center stage, from the World Cup to the Winter Olympics. But throw in the Super Bowl into the mix as well. We have a recipe for what's shaping up to be an unforgettable year in sports. For more on this Sports-a-Palooza, let's bring in host of Front Office Sports Today, Baker Machado. Baker, great to have you with us. I am a sports fan and I can't wait. Let's start with the Super Bowl. It's coming up first. The playoffs will feel a little different this year without the Kansas City Chiefs. Who are the big favorites then to play in the big game this year?
Well, Jessica, I'm sorry if you are a Chiefs fan. Yeah, they won't be making it. But one team that could be making it this year that hasn't made it in 10 years, the last time the Super Bowl was in San Francisco, is the Denver Broncos. You might remember that was Peyton Manning's final game with the Denver Broncos when they won the Super Bowl. Obviously, the Broncos chasing to get that #1 seed. But there's a bunch of other teams in there as well. You have the Seattle Seahawks, who are so far the #1 seed in the NFC as well. San Francisco, who won just last night on Sunday Night Football on NBC. Also a team that could potentially make it there as well. So this is going to be really exciting. Also, February, a very busy month for everybody at NBC, especially Mike Tirico, because you not only have the Super Bowl, you have the Olympics, and you have the NBA All-Star Game all happening in just a span of a few weeks of each other.
Well, let's talk about those winter games. This year's games will be held in northern Italy. It's really just in just a few weeks. Who are the big names on Team USA that we should be watching out for and cheering for?
I mean, look, we just got great news just a few days ago. Michaela Schifrin's going to be a part of this as well. Almost all the team NHL players from from all the NHL teams are going to be part of the hockey, which is going to be really exciting because the NHL All-Star Game is not going to be taking place this year because of the Olympics. Lindsey Vonn just announced that she's going to be taking part of it as well. So no doubt this is going to be an incredibly exciting Winter Olympics period in Italy, which of course is one of the best backdrops ever for what's going to be happening in the Olympics.
I want to talk about the World Cup as well. Sadly, Santa did not bring me tickets. I still got to try to get those, but it returns to the U.S. this summer. It's the largest World Cup ever since they've expanded. What are the chances the U.S. men's national team does really well this year?
Oh, that's a tough one, Jessica. By the way, the U.S. men's national team has not even made it past the quarterfinals since 2002. So it's not going to be it's going to be a daunting task, obviously. But this is obviously going to be the first time ever in FIFA World Cup history that 3 countries are going to be sharing the World Cup. You have the United States, Mexico, and Canada. 11 of the 16 cities that are going to be hosting the World Cup games are here in the United States, including the final game, which we played in MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. This is going to be amazing. And obviously the big hope in all of this is, does soccer turn this big corner here in the United States where all of a sudden we as Americans become way more obsessed with soccer than we have been in the past? That's going to be starting in June, going all the way through the middle of July as well. So obviously, all eyes going to be on Team USA. They have a pretty easy group stage for them, hopefully, to get past in that group stage. But obviously, fingers crossed to see how far they can get there.
Baker, which sporting event are you most excited for?
I would say, obviously, Super Bowl is so exciting, but obviously you've got the NBA All-Star Game going back to Los Angeles. As I mentioned, that's going to be on NBC. That's going to be really exciting to watch. Also, a big thing this year, we might have 2 lockouts. The WNBA still has not got a collective bargaining agreement for a new season for the WNBA. And after this season, it will be the end of a collective bargaining agreement for Major League Baseball. So could we have 2 sports in a strike in 2026? Something to watch here.
So much to watch, so much to look forward to. Baker, thank you so much. And as we kick off 2026, many of us are starting to plan out where we'd like to go on vacation this year. The travel experts over at Going.com say some of the trends are shifting, but there are still deals out there to be had if you act smart. They recently released the Going 2026 State of Travel and Flight Deals, and it predicts that we're not entering a year of not more trips, but maybe one big one. For a closer look at the top travel trends of the new year, let's bring in Going travel expert Katie Nastro. Katie, good morning. Great to have you. Let's start with your big travel hotspots for 2026. Where will they be this year and why?
Yeah, look, according to our Going State of Travel, we are still seeing an overwhelming interest in Europe, but this is actually the first time since a few years that this area, this region, has really dropped in desire. Still overwhelming interest, but we're seeing a new trend emerge. Asia is really a destination where we're seeing more travel interest grow year over year in 2026. This year is looking to be that year for people to look to these big long haul trips. So places like Tokyo, Bangkok, Seoul, Taipei really are rounding out our top 10 most searched destinations. And there's an overwhelming interest by Gen Z to really take that longer trip to some of these Asian destinations.
Last year, we know that New York was number 4 on the list. Are there any American cities trending this year?
Yeah, well, 2025, we definitely saw a growth in terms of where people are looking to go for that really immersive type of travel. And so 2026 this year, we're actually seeing that when it comes to domestic travel, people are looking for something a bit more intentional, more purposeful and restorative. So places like Alaska, New Mexico, Maine are topping some of our most searched destinations domestically. And it's really sort of this calmer type of travel that people are looking for when they are going around the country.
In 2025, of course, you said we took a lot of shorter trips, but you mentioned we're calling 2026 the year of one big trip, especially for Gen Z. But I'm an elder millennial, and that's what my family and I are doing to Europe. What do you think that will look like?
Yeah, this is a major theme for this year that, again, since the first time that we've seen in the last few years, really since 2023, people are being more intentional and really looking to maybe scale back a little bit due to economic uncertainty, political instability, as well as time off. That's something that Americans really struggle with. But they're being more intentional and purposeful of when they do travel. They really want to answer that why behind where they're going. So maybe that means finally taking off that road trip down Route 66, which is celebrating its centennial this year, as well as maybe it is taking off one of those bucket list trips out to Asia like we just were talking about. Or maybe it means just heading to one of the domestic cities that is going to see the World Cup. I know you have that on your bucket list.
I sure do.
And yeah, for a lot of people, that is maybe that one big trip that they want to really put their finances and their resources towards.
So a new term I learned today is over-tourism, and that was a big concern this past year. People in Spain and Italy actually protested against the number of tourists visiting over the summer. Will this continue to be a concern this summer?
You know, unfortunately, there are destinations around the world that are popular for a reason, places like Rome, Barcelona, et cetera, and they will continue to be popular. But we are seeing, again, a more intentional shift where people are rethinking some of these destinations because of how busy they may be during specific time periods. Almost 70% of our travelers surveyed are reconsidering some of these hotspots. And, you know, that is a good signal that they are being more intentional and maybe looking to explore other destinations around the world that actually need the tourism. But we always suggest, if you are looking to travel to one of these very bucket list trip destinations, that you consider the low season. January and February, these next 2 months are really some of the best times out of the entire year to travel for fewer crowds as well as affordability. And then also considering the shoulder season when, again, you don't see as many people traveling during those peak seasons like the summer and the winter holidays.
You know, we're also seeing social media become so much more powerful when it comes to driving people to certain destinations. It's a phenomenon that you call trendification of travel. How can we navigate this? And should I be looking to TikTok or Instagram to find out where to go in Italy this summer?
Yeah, the idea of trendification in travel, whether that's using social media as where you're getting your inspiration for travel, or maybe it means set jetting. We saw this occur with the White Lotus series, really having an impact on destinations like Thailand, like Sicily, which can have a good effect, a positive effect, where we actually see the demand rise. So airlines will then meet that demand and add more flights, more capacity to schedules. But then on the flip side, you know, there's two sides to this coin. On the flip side, the costs on the ground can actually skyrocket. So while we would suggest use any sort of outlet for your inspiration for travel, but just understand that some of these very busy destinations that are feeling the impacts of this trendification of travel, maybe, again, visiting them when they're not going to be as busy. So avoiding those peak seasons so you can be a better traveler and have a better travel experience.
These are all really great tips as we look to escape after the holidays. Katie Nastro, thanks so much.
Thanks so much. Happy travels.
Coming up, a look at the top trends according to Google, from Team Conrad versus Team Jeremiah to what is 6-7. We'll scroll through the most searched topics of 2025 next on Morning News Now. We're back with a look at Google's top search trends of 2025. The list offers a glimpse into what people have been thinking about over the past year and what they've been looking to learn more about, from who is Pope Leo to why do kids say 6-7? For more on this, we're joined by Google Trends expert Sarah Armstrong. Sarah, great to have you with us. Happy New Year.
Thanks for having me. Happy New Year.
Let's start with the overall top search terms and phrases that dominated 2025. What were the breakouts?
Yeah, so we're looking at those searches that had the biggest increase from 2024 to 2025 to see what's unique about this year. Charlie Kirk, absolutely a top news story there. People kept coming back to Google for updates on that, so we see that sustained interest. And then a lot of pop culture. K-pop Demon Hunters comes in at number 2. What I love about this is it seems to be bridging the younger generation with adults who just love the music, kind of like Frozen did.
Yeah, like my 11-year-old with me, a 40-something. I just love the music as well. I know there were a few names on that list as well. Who were some of the other top search people, including some of those that we lost this year?
Yeah, so top search person, living person, Zoran Mamdani, the new mayor of New York City. What really caught my attention here is he's #1 in the U.S. and globally he makes that top 10 list as well. So New York politics really capturing the whole world. On some of the people we lost this year, Gene Hackman, a big one, Diane Keaton. We saw her movies absolutely trending. And that song, You Don't Own Me, was also high up there.
Yeah, Diane Keaton was a huge loss for me. Watching The Stone this Christmas, The Family Stone, really hit different for my sister and me. You talked about K-pop Demon Hunters at the top of the movies list. What other movies and shows were we searching up?
Okay, Hunting Wives.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I sure did.
People love the drama.
Yeah.
White Lotus was a big one. We saw a lot of searches and trips to Thailand, people wanting to go on vacation after watching that show, which I think was pretty funny. The Pit was a big one. The Summer I Turned Pretty. So lots of, I think the medical drama with The Pit is a little too much for me. I get a little too queasy, but a lot of people really like it.
I loved it. And of course, Team Jeremiah versus Team Conrad. That was like huge search and also divided the nation.
Totally. And that's another show that I think a lot of younger people and adults all really love. So I love seeing this pop culture that kind of spans the generation.
So let's talk about understanding the new slang of our kids. We know it can be a challenge. Some of these words sound a bit sus to me. What were some of the phrases, some of the sayings in 2025 that moms like me wanted to understand more?
Okay, well, the top one might not be a surprise. We have 6, 7.
Of course.
Lots of people going to Google asking, what does this mean? And it really doesn't mean anything.
We still don't know. Exactly.
Okay, number 3 on the list then is 41, which apparently is the new 6, 7. Have you heard of this one?
So according to my son, 41 is what the kids now say to sort of one-up the adults who think they're cool saying 6, 7. So adults all know 6, 7. So now the kids say 4-1 to stump everybody else.
Do you know if there's a hand gesture that goes along with that one too?
Yeah, but I'm not doing it because it's embarrassing. I'll get it wrong.
Sigma also on that list.
Yes.
I know we saw that last year. It continues to be popular this year, so who knows what it is next year.
All this stuff that happened this year, what was the biggest surprise to you and the folks at Google?
You know, it just had the real mix of pop culture and hard news. We see lots of interest in One Big Beautiful Bill Act, and then we see a lot of interest in Labubu. So people want to know what's going on, but then they also want to engage in some of those more fun trends.
Well, Sarah, it's been great to have you. Thanks for bringing so much Riz to the show today.
Thank you so much.
Good to have you. Happy New Year. And that does it for this hour of Morning News Now. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.